about 6 months now, I believe, right? And this is fantastic speeches. I'm really looking forward to this. Mike is a software engineer in the Twin Cities right here. For 14 years, he's been a software engineer, currently with Sorin Medical Group. It's a French medical device company manufacturer in Plymouth. And today he's presenting for us on Delphi estimations, or?
Yes, Delphi
estimate, yeah, approach.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster. So, how many of you here have, at one point in your life, had to give an estimate to your boss or to a client on how long a given task or project is going to take? Okay, pretty much everybody. So, years ago, at a previous company, we went through a training process, and it was based off the work that was done at Carnegie Mellon. And the context of this speech is going to be around the software estimating methodology. And these folks at Carnegie looked at the business world and they said, you know, like every business is saying the same thing. Our software is over budget, it's late, and it's not very good, and we're dissatisfied with it. Everybody's having the same problem. What's going on here? We all want yeoman's quality and service and loyalty, and nobody's getting it. So what do we do? And that's what this organization does, is they look at processes and how to improve the business community and other areas. And so one of the methods they came up with was the Delphi estimating method. Now, it's based on, it starts out with these three things. You've got resources. You've got time, and you've got content. Now, in the context of software development, content is basically your features. What do you want the software to do? Okay. Now, the idea behind this approach is that management gets to give you two, and the owners of the project get to say the third. So management is almost always going to say what your resources are going to be. There's going to be 10 people working on this project. There's going to be 2 people, or you by yourself. This is what our budget is. This is the way it's going to be. So management almost always gets to pick resources. And even when they don't, this is kind of a tricky one, because you can't always just throw more resources at a project problem. Eventually you get diminishing returns. The analogy I like to use is 2 women aren't going to have a baby in 4.5 months. Okay? Sometimes, you know, the number of resources is. And then you've got time and content. So if the boss is saying the time, you got 5 weeks to get this project done. Then it's up to me to say, here's what I can get done in 5 weeks. If the boss says, this is the minimal marketable functionality, this is the minimal feature set that we need this content. Well, then I get to say, okay, it's going to take me 10 weeks to deliver that content. What often happens in the business world is management wants to dictate all 3 of these. And it's almost a sure disaster when they do, because everybody's running around trying to implement all of these features with the limited resources in the time that was dictated to them. And so they're working hard, they're working hastily, they might be cutting corners, and they deliver something that's like I said, it's late, it's not the best feature set, nobody's happy. And so this was their effort at trying to address this problem. Now, with any process, you need a champion. I don't care if it's Scrum or capability maturity model or whatever your process is going to be, because it usually starts out with one person saying, we need to do this, and everybody else kind of sitting there saying, yeah, you know, everything from, yeah, I'm excited about it, to, yeah, I'll play along, right? And so you go into the sort of Scrum is another process. I won't go into the details of what Scrum is, but I've been in companies where, like, yeah, we're going to do Scrum, and you do these things where you do a stand-up meeting, where you literally stand up, you do not sit down. And the idea is that you'll get to the point. Because when you come in on Monday morning, everybody sits around, you're going to talk about your weekend, you're going to go off topic, you're going to bring up things that you don't really need to be talking about. So if everybody stands up and you get to the point, and there's all sorts of different tricks to try to get people to get to the point and be efficient and get back to work. And so we do our stand-up meeting, we do that for about a week, then pretty soon one person sits down. And nobody, you know, we kind of call them on it, like, hey man, this is a stand-up meeting. Yeah, I'm not standing up. And then pretty soon everybody's sitting and everybody falls apart. So really, no matter what process you implement, you have to have a champion that's empowered to say, hey, we're sticking to this. And even if it's their boss, no, boss, you're sticking to this. You signed up for this. We're going to do this. So this is one more process. Now, there's some more details to this. So let's say that your boss comes to you and says, this is your resources. This is the minimal marketable functionality. We got to get this feature set in there. How long is this going to take? So we had an approach. The Delphi method said, okay, we're going to take the rest of us. We're going to take this team over here, and we're going to have an agreement on what is a coding module. You know, a coding module is one file, and it's one stored procedure, and it's a table. And so we kind of agree on what the definition of these terms are. Like there's a term called coding module, and there's a term called a unit test. So we have to agree on what that means and how detailed are we getting with our estimates. And so we all go off and we give our estimate on how long we think this is going to take. And then we come together and we compare. And if I say that this feature is going to take 1 day, and you say it's going to take 1 month, then we have to have a discussion. Why are you thinking it's going to take so long? And I remember having this discussion. I had a longer time than a colleague. And I said, well, have you ever been working and you've got all these class files, and you look over and you're like, wow, that's a lot of class files. And he said, yeah, that happens to me. I said, well, yeah, that's why I kind of came with a higher estimate. He goes, yeah, you're right, but I still don't think it's going to be quite that long. So we went round and round, and eventually you come to a compromise. And it's an imperfect process, and software development is an imperfect process. So I wanted to present to you today the Delphi estimating approach. I wanted to present to you this concept of resources, time versus content, and minimal marketable functionality, and really talk about the role of somebody being a champion for any given process in a business. If anybody here has done similar approach, or if you've done something completely different, I would really appreciate it if you would talk to me afterwards, because I'd like to hear about it. Thank you.